Good evening. Hi, Stamper fans. Welcome to another Make It Monday. I am Nan Gerlitz, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator from Bloomington, Illinois, and I am here live on my Facebook page every Monday night at 7 p.m. Central. So thank you so much for joining me. Tonight we have a fun little card that has a sneak peek of a new bundle that will be coming out in January. So I'll be showing you how to put that together, also showing you the new bundle that will be available January 5th. And I have an alternative for you at the end with the same layout, but totally different vibe to it. So make sure you stick around to the end to see that. So glad you're with me tonight. If you are watching live, go ahead and drop a comment, say hi. If you're watching the replay, I'm so glad you stopped by. Stick around. Hopefully you can pick up some new tips or tricks or just enjoy my flawless humor. All righty. So let me see here. I had a thing. Oh, yes. Okay. Let's switch the view and get started on a couple of things. First, I wanted to show you one thing and remind you that we have a big sale going on right now. This is our last chance product sale. So this was the winning card from last Friday night's stamping. Congratulations, hon. Fabulous little fun fold card. I absolutely love this, and I'm a sucker for gnomes. So I have a feeling that many people who know me well probably thought this was my card, but it was not. So my husband made this one, and it was the winning card, and I'm showing it to you tonight because these products are on the last chance retiring list. Ooh, ooh, yeah, yeah. So the stamp set's going away. The dies are actually staying. So, wonder what that could mean for future products, huh? There's a big hint. The stamp set is retiring, though. The gems are retiring. The puff paint is retiring, and all this beautiful gnome paper is all retiring. So you can hop on. See my little, look at my banners. There is a link in the video description for the last chance product sale. So you can go right to my store, click that link, you'll go right to that sale list. Some of the products are up to 60% off. I did not check to see if any of these particular ones were on sale, but there's some good deals to be had, people, and there's some things that are already sold out. So you'll want to hop on that quickly. Everything is while supplies last. So that was the first thing I wanted to make sure that you all remembered, that time is money, people, and you're losing it. All right. So today's card, as always, I have linked the full supply list with cardstock measurements in the video description. So on Facebook, I think that's above me. I'm not sure. You'll find it. But so then you can just sit back and relax and kind of watch how things are done. You won't have to worry about trying to write down as fast as I talk and then you're missing things. Just chill, and you can check that link out afterwards for all of the details. So we will start with the new bundle. And this is called the Something Fancy Bundle. So it comes with a greeting only stamp set, which some of these fonts are so fun. I love the handwritten kind of fonts. The phrase that we're using today, I didn't forget your birthday. I'm just stretching out the celebration. Raise your hand if you're like me and you're like, oh, I should have had that card in the mail yesterday or last week. This is a great stamp for you to have. Let me tell you, worth the price right there. But yeah, some great ones. Just happy birthday, congratulations, thank you. Then you've got your sympathy. Here's to beautiful beginnings and happily ever afters, which is great for weddings, anniversaries, Valentines, all sorts of things like that. Grateful for the everyday magic of you. You've got kind of something for everything in this. And again, like I said, the font is gorgeous. And then we have a die set that goes with this for the bundle. And so as you can see, there are three different kind of nested layering label type dies. And then you've got these fun little cutouts too, and then a straight one too for greetings as well. So the alternative I'm going to show you at the end is uses one of these fun little cutouts. So you'll kind of see how that works as well. All right, so that's what we're starting with, is that bundle that will be available on January 5th. I'm just giving you a little taste. Also, though, demonstrators can pre-order this stuff right now, so you can actually add that to a starter kit if you wanted to and save a little dough that way as well. So if you're interested in that, send me a private message. We can talk. All right, just one ink pad for tonight, and that is our Night of Navy. And then we've got some cardstocks. So we're starting with a base of Smoky Slate. This is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, scored at 4 1/4. Go ahead and give that a good burnish with my bone folder. And this particular color combination was inspired by my weekly newsletter, my email newsletter that I sent out last week. And this was my color combo. Every week I share updates on things that are going on. There might be tutorials, there might be all sorts of info like that, but there's always a color combo. So if you're ever stuck for that, and there's also a layout sketch. So if you're ever stuck for that type of thing as well, that'll help you boost your creativity, your mojo. Can't think of the word I'm thinking of, but mojo works. And also there's a fun little virtual jigsaw puzzle in there. So if you're a puzzler, that's a fun thing too. So if you are not already on my email list, shoot me a message on that and I will get you added. We're also going to be using a piece of basic white that is 5 1/4 inches by 4. That's for the inside. We're going to be using this piece of designer paper, and I will show you those in a minute. So two-sided, fun little kind of dandelion effect here. This one is 4 inches by 5 3/4, but we're not going to be using all of it. I will show you that in a sec. And then I've got basically scraps that I pulled out of my scrap folders of pumpkin pie and pool party. So these need to be at least 3.5 by 2 1/4 for the pumpkin, and at least 3 by 2 inches for the pool party to do what I did. I also have an extra little piece from that same designer paper pack, and that's where I got a fun little cutout here. So I'm just going to fussy cut another image to add to this card too. So that is a nice little thing. And I did the same thing on the alternate card that I'm going to show you later. So that's a fun thing. Let me show you that designer paper. So this is the Sun Prints designer paper, and you get 2 of each of these sheets in the pack. They're full 12 by 12 sheets, so gorgeous. That photo sun thing. I can't think of the name of it. Maybe somebody out there knows. But that's what this is replicating, is that kind of, photo paper that's sensitive to the lights from the sun, and so you get these cool varied prints. So you've got that side, and then you've got this cool very neutral gray granite on the other. Some more cool ferns and leaves and things. And another, I really like this. It's kind of that, it's almost that bokeh, kind of fuzzy. This one is gorgeous for all of you scrapbooker, memory keeper people out there. So this whole sheet is mostly blank up here, right? So you could have a great summer or spring or a nice winter scene even, because of that deep blue. So this could be kept all at once, or you can cut it into thirds and go ahead. And you've got this beautiful like sky kind of vibe going. This one looks like flakes of mica or granite or something like that. And a great stripe on the other side. Oh, that's so terrible on camera. I'm sorry. You've got the dandelion one that we're using tonight. And the other side is just a textural kind of gray. Then you've got, they look more like marker swatches. They're kind of dots, but they're not just plain polka dots. And then you've got more of the kind of dandelion and fern. So very versatile paper pack you've got there. Okay. The few other things we're using. Rhinestones, because who doesn't need a little bling, right? Yes. Thank you. Cyanotype paper. Yes. I knew it was like a big fancy word. I know I'd seen it before. That is the type of paper that is like photo or sun sensitive. So you get those cool prints like that. Thank you, sweetheart. All right. And we're also using the silver trim from the Elegant Trim pack. Got some dimensionals. I'm using minis today. And also some Terran tape. Don't fret, I have a whole nother roll of this. So this is one that came in a paper pumpkin kit that I'm just using up. Okay. I've got my trimmer out. I've got my size D block. We're all ready to rock. Okay. Let's do it. Oops. I put all my paper down. Okay. Let's go ahead and do, whoa, so sorry. I smacked y'all. Hope you didn't get dizzy. I'm going to go ahead and trim this piece first. So all I'm going to do is, because I want this to be 5 1/4 to fit on the front. So we're going to take like a 1/2 inch off of that. And then I'm going to use that little strip for the inside of the card. Since we don't really have a, we just have the greetings for the stamps, and I didn't want to pull out another stamp set. So I am just going to use my designer paper to zhuzh up the inside. A little bit of liquid adhesive. Pop that at one side. And when you're working with a skinny strip like this, the liquid adhesive really is nice because it gives you that little bit of wiggle room so you can get everything just how you want it, and it's all straight and flush with the edge and everything. All right, we'll go ahead and get that attached to the inside. And I didn't think to have this prepped tonight. I will next time I use some designer paper, but you can also add designer paper to the flap of your envelope for a really cool custom look, and people will get it in the mail and be like, whoa, what kind of amazingness is waiting for me in this envelope? Homemade amazingness, that's what. So there's our inside done. Now we've got that piece. We're not going to attach that quite yet because we got some trim magic to do. Okay, let's go ahead and stamp our one thing that we're going to stamp today. And that is our little fun birthday greeting. I know that this darn stamp is going to get a lot of work out in my studio. I am notorious for having good intentions. Okay, so this is one of our red rubber stamps, so not see-through, right? And we're using words. We want them to be straight. Now, I am going to die cut this, so it's not quite as urgent, but I like to give you guys tips while you're here, right? That's what you show up for. So I like to use my grid paper, and I will line the bottom of the block up with one of my grid lines. And then I'll take, so this particular stamp has that nice handwritten font, but then it also has what looks more like, you know, typewritten or printed. So I'm going to use that line as my straight line. And I am just going to line that up as best I can with one of those grid lines on each side. So I know that if I keep my block straight, my greeting should be straight as well. So now I'll pull my cardstock in, and let's say this is the shape that it was going to be, and I was going to stick it down like this. So it was really important to have it straight. I'm going to line the bottom of my cardstock up with a grid line. Any grid line will do. I'll go ahead and ink up my stamp. And then, so with this one, I can actually just line this up with the cardstock because it's big enough. But if it was a thin piece and I needed to be off, I could line that up with another grid line on the block so I could get it straight. But for this one, I'm just going to line it up with the bottom of my cardstock. We're going to stamp. And voila, straight greeting. I absolutely love that this works out again and again and again on camera. Can I tell you how excited I am about that? Because it's always live TV, right? Always goes wrong. So just taking my chamois and giving my stamp a nice cleaning. So it's ready to go to another color. I don't think I showed you, but you can see that I pulled this out of the middle of a sheet of rubber, and I haven't mounted this whole stamp set yet because I wanted to show you guys that on camera once. So that's waiting for that to happen. Okay, let's close up our ink pad so we don't have any stamp catastrophes. Get all that out of the way. Okay, let's bring in, oh, I forgot to tell you, we're going to be using our mini boss, our mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And we're going to cut both of these, die cut both of those with our awesome Something Fancy dies. So we'll use our bottom two. And I believe I used the two biggest, so the middle one and the biggest die of these. And this is a nice card too because it's, you know, even though it's got a cutout of dandelions, it could be totally good for any guy in your life or any woman that's not into flowers and frou-frou and pink, right? Because there's plenty of women that are not. So, yeah, if you're looking for more of a masculine vibe, this is a really good card. And these are really good shapes for that. It doesn't have any of the frou-frou, you know, pretty stuff. It's a basic shape, but it's a good one. So we'll just get that centered in there. And this is why it didn't really matter if I stamped it straight, because if it was crooked, I would just adjust my label to fit it. And I would straighten it out in the die cutting phase, basically. So if you were using the full-size Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, I could have done both of these at the same time. I may have been able to fit them both on here, but I feel like it would have been putting a little bit of stress on the machine. So we've got that. And now our pumpkin piece. Obviously with that one, it doesn't really matter where it goes on the cardstock. I'm just trying to preserve a little bit so that maybe I can use that little 1 inch on the side for something else. Because ask the stamper man, I save all my little 1 inch and 1/2 inch pieces of cardstock. I actually do need to probably do a purge over the holidays because the pile of white scraps is getting a little large. Okay. And there is our pumpkin one. All that aside. Okay, and now, I think I might, no, I'm not. Never mind, I didn't say anything. I was gonna change something up, but I decided not to. So we're just gonna attach this pool party to the pumpkin. Pool party sounds very nice right about now in Illinois in the middle of December. I guess it's the beginning still. Okay, before we attach any of that, we are going to work with this. Where's my trim mix? Okay, so for this particular piece, you can see that I've got 3 of these. There you go, wrapping around. And instead of wrapping and wrapping and wrapping, I literally just cut out 3 pieces that were a little longer than the piece of designer paper I have. Because I didn't need to go through the headache of trying to wrap those around just so. And when I got these, I actually cut these little, there we go. I cut those little notches in mine so that I could feed that through. I just feed the end through each time, and that way it doesn't unravel on me. It's a little sewing trick. So if you sew at all, then you know that's how your thread is. Your on the spool, it'll have a little notch like that for you to anchor it in between projects. And that's always a good thing to do. Okay, so now I've got these three. And I am going to, there's a certain way I did it when I did it, and I'm trying to think if there's a better way, but no, we'll be fine. So I'm just going to take a little Stampin' Seal, and I'm going to put down a couple of little rows of that right smack dab in the center of my designer paper, because it's going to get covered up. So we're fine there. I'm going to put one straight across pretty much. We're just going to anchor that down. It's going to go willy-nilly everywhere, no problem. And I'm going to do one on an angle this way. You want to just kind of anchor it at a couple of spots. And then one on an angle this way. And again, you're going to want to anchor that at a couple of spots so it stays pretty good. Now, this is what I use the tear and tape for. You can totally use like a Scotch tape or something for this as well, but I'll tell you why I use the tear and tape when we're good here. Let me do this. Move this out of the way because I didn't bring my little silicone mat over, and I don't want this to stick to my paper. So my straight one is really not straight. It's like got a mind of its own. So I'm going to hold on to that one because I know that's the middle one. I just want them to look nice. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and pull this side over. We're basically just going to lay these three out. I'm going to grab my acrylic block and just put them down on there, kind of hold them in place while I'm working with my tape. You can use a punch, which are very heavy and would work beautifully for that. You could use any of your tools that you've got. And I'm going to take tear and tape and just anchor those down on the edge. They do not need to be perfect because this is a very loosey-goosey, hey, this is just how that stuff landed kind of card. So no worries there. All right, let me find my middle guy again, who just has a mind of its own. Whew. Why are you being like that, dude? Okay, there we go. So same deal on this side. We will just pull these all three up. I'm not going to care if they're the same distance apart on the other side. If you know me at all, you know I'm going to kind of try to get them that way, but I'm honestly not going to worry about it. We'll anchor those down. We'll get another piece of tear and tape. You just need it long enough that it's going to go over all three of those pieces. And bam. Now they are not going anywhere. And I didn't have to wrap them and try to get them to stay in place or anything like that. Okay, so now we are just about ready to put that on here. I'm going to go ahead and add some Stampin' Seal to the corners, so the rest of the card stays down nice. Now, I will tell you the reason that I like to use tear and tape for this particular thing is when this layer is against the card like this, right? Those little bits of trim are basically trying to pull it away from the card base. So tear and tape is a very strong adhesive. So it's holding the pieces down here. But then when I remove the backing from it, I now have adhesive that is also going to hold that to the card base right at the point of the most stress. So that is why I like to use my tear and tape for ribbons and trim and stuff like that that's going to be behind. So we're just going to go put that all down. And bam. So now, even though you can see there's a little bit of a gap there, very tiny, it's not going to release because that tear and tape is going to hold it very well in place. Okay. Now we will go ahead and grab our dimensionals. And normally I would use the big full-size dimensionals for this, but because I was going to use the minis for my little cutout, I figured I would just use the minis for everything. If you have only full-size dimensionals and you don't have minis, you can always take your snips or scissors and you can cut these guys in half, all that kind of thing. So you can make them smaller. No worries there. Oh, that guy didn't want to stick. All right, one thing I also find with the minis is the backings sometimes are a little tougher to get off than the full-size ones. So I love to use my Take Your Pick tool for that, and it makes really quick work of that. Plus, it collects them all on that point. Okay, so we're going to just straddle this whole thing here. Now let's pick a little something to cut out of here. So I could have a single little guy there, or I could have this cool big, I think I like that kind of big grassy thing. So we're just going to go around. As always, when you are fussy cutting, move the paper, not the scissors. And don't worry about it being perfect. And in fact, we're going to cut that whole thing off so it stops bothering me. I do remember from, gosh, my elementary school days that if you have a smaller image to cut out of a bigger piece of paper, kind of cut all around it first, like a big circle or oval or whatever is the best, and then cut into your, like here, let's just do that. Then you can cut into your actual image and you have less excess, getting in your way. So you'll notice I'm not being hugely fussy about this and not very specific about it. We'll take this part too, because it's kind of attached. I'm just getting the general idea of that leafy, ferny, grassy thing. Whatever it is. I'm so specific on my nature terms tonight, aren't I? Okay, so this one is going to now hang half on and half off. So we're going to want some support for that. So we want our dimensionals, which is why I grabbed my minis, because I didn't know how big this piece was going to be, right? How thick or anything like that. So we're going to want a couple down there for sure. And then I think one at the tip. Perfect. And then what you can do is you can take a little Stampin' Seal, or in this case, I think because it's so kind of skinny and fiddly, I'm just going to put a little bit of liquid adhesive in the middle, and that will hold it onto the label that we've cut. I should have got my Take Your Pick tool out. Especially, I will tell you, if you're a person that does not have fingernails that you can deal with, Take Your Pick tool is like indispensable piece of equipment. There we go. Now just a few rhinestones, also applied with our Take Your Pick tool. So let me tell you, it lives on my stamping table. It's always at the ready. We will take a medium one over here, and I think a couple of small ones. One over there, and I think one there. There we go. So a little bit of a variation to our original one. Let's get our grid paper back in because I feel like you guys will be able to see better against the white. There you go. So there's our variation for tonight, very slightly different, not much. So when you have a pack of paper like this, where it's like, okay, but I only have a couple sheets of this, and I want to make 20 thank you cards or birthday cards or whatever you're making. Well, but the whole pack of paper is designed to coordinate and blend with each other. So you can take a couple of different designs and still get a very similar look. You'll just have some variations, which would be nice for all of the people that are going to be receiving them, right? So now I promised you an alternate card, and what I did was I flipped it on its side and we made a portrait card. So as you can see, same basic idea. We took our glimmer trim here. This is in the Sweet Sorbet, which is one of our in colors. And this is the same pack of paper that I used last week in last week's card. And see this cool little cutout? So that was this label. And then I took this little tulip kind of cutout. And it really literally fits right in there. So I ran that through at the same time when I die cut them. And then it shows the nice evergreen behind it. Now, you see that little guy? Same thing. I fussy cut that out of designer paper, and I wanted to show you that because last week when I was yapping your ear off, I forgot to show you the designer paper that I promised to show you. So that is, where is it? There it is. So this is the Fitting Florets designer paper, which is limited time, while supplies last only. And one of the cool things about this particular sheet is that these particular flowers, so they were in both the darker pink and the lighter pink, so there's several of them on this page, are all, you can use one of the die cuts in the bundle to die cut these out. So I thought, well, I'm going to die cut all of those while I was at it because I used one of them in last week's card. And then I realized I would have these holes in this whole sheet of paper if I did that. And well, like I couldn't just cut out a sheet to go on a card front then. So what was I going to do? So what I did, so here are the ones I die cut, both kinds. And I even did the edge ones because those would look really cool, like on an edge of a card, like it's just peeking off, right? So don't discount your partial images. And then as we just watched TV, I just sat and I fussy cut the rest of the page of flowers and some of the leaves and things like that. So that way I didn't waste the page, and I also took advantage of the die cut flowers. I really liked that idea. So this is one of those that I fussy cut last week while we were just watching TV. So I have a whole nother page that I can either do that same thing to, or I can use, you know, in bigger chunks as card backgrounds and things like that. But this was one of those edge pieces that I said, don't discount those because boom, look at how perfectly it fits on that little tag. Absolutely love it. And of course, the colors go together. So we have this sheet, and again, you get two of each of these sheets in it. This beautiful blue leafy design. This is the sheet I used on last week's card, and I told you that many people I've seen coloring those berries in red to make it even more Christmassy looking. The opposite side is a gorgeous pink, again with the leaves, some flowers. It's a very pretty florally set of papers. Gorgeous blues, love this with the greens. And look at, I mean, see, this is the nice thing. You get all these fabulous variations of shades of color, and you didn't have to do any of the coloring. Makes you look like a pro. Other side of that is a gorgeous green with some very light leaves. And we've got a tighter pattern of those same kind of flowers. Really pretty, oh, deep green and blue. Got the blue with the pinks. This is the one I used on my alternate card today. You can see more blues and greens and a beautiful green gingham. So really, you've got some that are not quite so feminine, not quite so fluffy and florally and whatnot. So it is a really good pack of paper, and especially love all the colors in it. So gorgeous that way. All right. I think that's about all I have for you there. Let me switch the view on us here. Here we go. Just trying to remember to show you everything I have. So all this week here on my Facebook page, I will be showing more projects using this Something Fancy bundle that you're going to be able to get in January or earlier in a startup kit. Anything else I need? No. So all of the projects that no, products was right. Guys, it's a Monday. All of the products that I've shown you here today can be ordered on my shop online. Some of those last chance products, remember, are just while supplies last, so you'll want to jump on those. But even if you never buy anything from me, I want to increase your confidence in your creativity, because just like any other muscle in your body, the more you work it, the stronger it gets. So that is all for me for this week. Until next Monday, I'm still Nan Gerlitz. Happy stamping.